Okay, everyone. So we are here with today's discussion, and I'm sure we have some meditation reports. So if you can mention the number of reports and move on.
Avasare Bhante, we have received 5 reports today. Report number 1, sitting meditation. I started sitting meditation just looking at the body qualities of the elements. Hardness is more prominent. My mind selected one area and observed what is happening. I can see it breaking into small objects and its appearing, existence and disappearance. In this area became empty space like a hole. In this area hardness appeared for a moment and disappeared. After this I can feel the bodily feeling, the mental images. This cycle happened few times. In each cycle, end of it, I can feel the sleepiness. On last time I was released from the sleepiness, I could feel my body is broken into parts and my mind is more clear and no interest to observe anything. Please give me guidance. Walking meditation. Paying attention to the feet, I started the walking. I noticed the texture of the sand. I can feel when sand touching feet and what are the areas touching the ground and what are the areas not touching the ground. At start, my mind go to the thought process. With time, it reduces. I can feel my body walking on its own. Hardness of the leg became more prominent than the feelings of the sand texture. After some time, I can feel my leg as hard as a wooden stick. After some time, I can feel like this wooden stick is like breaking. At these moments, my body loses the balance. In the end, my mind like to walk without any effortful focus to any area, so that I can simply walk without any intentions. Theruvan Saranai.
Right. So both in the walking and sitting, you can see the process becomes natural, and you are simply sitting, witnessing what is happening. You are simply walking, witnessing what is happening. So that observation you can continue. And sometimes when you do it, things disappear and it becomes more like a void or empty space. Right? Although this void appears, although this empty space appears, after a while some other thing will arise. There is this fullness and emptiness. The void appears and sometimes things appear from that void. Maybe certain thoughts or certain bodily sensations might appear. Again, after a while it might go into a void. So this process continues. Time after time the void appears, time after time things appear. So the very idea of emptiness is not when it is fully empty or fully void. Instead, this very process is the emptiness. Sometimes it becomes full, sometimes it becomes empty. There is an exchange between the fullness and emptiness. That very observation if you can do, that is the very emptiness that we talks about. Not when things are vanished, not when everything is empty. That's not the very idea. Instead, sometimes things appear, sometimes things disappear. It changes between the fullness and emptiness. That very process is the idea of emptiness. There's no real essence in this. Instead, things arise due to certain causes and things disappear when the causes are no longer there. So that very observation you can do. And time to time your ego appears, time to time the self appears. It is natural. You can't really suddenly get rid of it. Instead, simply continue the observation. Notice how time to time this ego becomes strong. Notice how the self appears. That very observation will help you get rid of this. So what I suggest is continue this observation both in the walking and sitting, plus in your day-to-day life also you can be mindful and see how it goes.
As usual, if the yogi wants to discuss anything else, please raise your hand. Report number 2. Respected Bhante, this is my third session of meditation attending in Kalalgoda. Mindful walking. My primary object was to concentrate both my soles. I noticed both soles touching the ground, starting from both heels, arches of the feet and toes. I noticed walking on the sand gives much sensation than walking on the tile floor or on the mat. I was able to concentrate more time on walking than sitting meditation. Very rarely my mind wanders during walking meditation. Disturbance were very much less compared to previous attempts of walking meditation. Thoughts were less, and on very few occasions the surrounding noises disturbed me. Sitting meditation. My primary object was to keep my mind at the nostrils. I noticed air touching my nostrils during inhalation, but exhalation was not that clear. Sometimes only I noticed the length of breathing, but that is only a very short period. My main concern is the sitting posture, even though I determined to be in the posture. Pain kept on disturbing me and I had to change the posture, but I tried to keep my mind during change of the posture. As I mentioned earlier, sitting meditation, maximum I can concentrate is 30 minutes. My attention gets disturbed most of the time due to bodily difficulties. Kindly advise me on this. Daily mindful activities. I always try to keep my mind at whatever I do. It really helps me to carry out my job and household activities very efficiently and also save time with metta.
Okay, so good progress. We are happy that you are continuing and it's your third retreat. So this is a great start. Now, in the sitting and walking both, the primary object is clearly mentioned. Now, early in the morning, I said that we are trying to be present. How do we know that we are present? That very idea is important, right? For a beginner, we try to introduce that you simply has to pay attention to a bodily sensation. The body is all the time present. The body is always in the present moment. It can't go to the past. It won't go to the future. It is always present. So as long as we are with the bodily sensation, we are assured that our attention is in the present moment. Not in the past, not in the future. Instead, we are here and now. So that very idea is important. That's why we ask you to find the primary object. Do you feel the breathing? Do you feel the walking sensations? That question we have to ask time after time. Right? So in your report, you have clearly identified the primary object and you try to stay with the primary object and you have done your practice and you have progressed well. Right? So it's been only 3 retreats now. So this is more than enough. Right? And these problems that you experience or the questions that you experience, they are common to a beginner. What they find is that walking meditation is easier to be mindful than the sitting. Usually we think it should be the other way around. When you're walking, you have your eyes open. Right? You see the surrounding, you hear sounds, and your body is moving. But among all these things, you find it's easier to maintain the mindfulness. Right? So that's the experience of a beginner. They like the walking meditation better because they can concentrate or be mindful easily. Right? So that you have experience. And the sitting posture, the main problem sometimes become thoughts. The thought processes become stronger. When you sit, when you close your eyes, the mind takes the lead. Right? All the thought processes, all the memories, future planning, these things come to your mind. And towards the end of the session, the bodily difficulties come. The posture is difficult to maintain. For 30 minutes you can do, more than that it's difficult. Right? So those problems that you encounter, they are quite natural to the beginners. So what I suggest is simply continuing this very practice. You have to gather more hours. Every day try to do a walking session, try to do a sitting session, and come to these retreats monthly. That way you have to continue for some time. And when you do that, you find now you are able to sit for much longer time, and you are able to sit comfortably. Those things will be adjusted. Your body will get used to the posture, right? And day by day you become much better at the practice. You realize now you are able to be mindful for a longer periods. Let it be the walking, let it be the sitting. You can do it much more effectively. And even the daily activities, changing your posture, all those things you can try and approach them mindfully. So this is the very idea. This is the very idea. That way when you continue, when you try for a long period, you realize that your body posture get adjusted. Maybe you can support with some yoga exercises and things like that. That will help your posture, but gradually it will adjust. And going through the pain is the way. Today, let's say 30 minutes, try to do 5 more minutes tomorrow. It's not easy, but gradually you get adjusted. Again, day after tomorrow, stay a little longer. That way if you approach, then you realize with some time you are able to sit for 1 hour comfortably. You are able to walk for 1 hour comfortably. That ability will develop. Right? So that's the very idea. And for a beginner, we say try to do at least like 1 hour of practice, 1 hour of formal meditation. So they will take few days and they will somehow gather 1 hour, walking and sitting 15-20 minutes daily, and within few days they will say, I have completed 1 hour. Then what's the advice should be? Then we say try to do 10 hours. They'll take couple more weeks and somehow get to 10 hours. Then what should be the advice? Then we say try to do 100 hours. Right? Then probably few months they will get to 100 hours. Then we say try to do 1000 hours. Sounds big, but when you continue day by day, within couple of years you can do 1000 hours. Once you reach that point, we will say, do 10,000 hours. And if you do 10,000 hours, you won't even come to this discussion. Right? You'll say, I am done. I have done my practice. That's the very idea. So gradually continue. Everybody has to go through this painstaking process. It's not easy. It's difficult. But going through this very process is the path. Most people think it as a destination. But it's the very journey, right? So that all the difficulties, all the bodily pains, aches that you have to endure, all the family matters that you have to sort out, this is the very path. Among all these difficulties, we somehow continue. Little by little, we gather hours of meditation. And gradually when you do like that, you realize that very journey becomes Nibbana. Not a destination. Instead of going through this very practice, becomes the path, becomes the Nibbana. Right? So that's the very idea. So we are happy you are making progress. We encourage you to continue like this few months, few years ahead.
Report number 3. Question 1. There are times the concentration goes completely to a state of unawareness, like a deep sleep for short moments. Am I asleep as I don't feel anything? Question 2. While walking meditation, my mind was seeing my skeleton, especially the hip and leg joint, with pain. That was the distraction to foot sensation focused. Theruwan Saranai.
Right. So the first one is about falling asleep.
Say unawareness.
Unawareness. So you have to experience it time after time, and by experiencing it only you can figure this out, right? Because now you know something like this happens. For a short while, you go into a certain certain part of unawareness, certain phase of unawareness. Then again, after a few seconds, a minute, you come to awareness, right? So this, you know that this happens. So next time, go better prepared. Go through that very process and experience it once again. So most of the beginners, they assign this as sleepiness, falling asleep. That's what you are saying, right? Probably it is falling asleep. But sometimes when the mind becomes leaner, since we don't have that very experience earlier, we think it is sleepiness, right? So even in meditation, the leaner states of mind, the deeper states of mind, you could feel it as sleepiness. You haven't experienced it before. When you start experiencing it, you assign it as sleepiness, right? So that's why we say, don't come into a conclusion right away. Instead, go through this very experience for few more weeks, few more months. And once you go through again and again, then you get more information. You go better prepared. You have experience in this. That way you can figure out whether it's a sleepiness or it's a leaner state of mind, right? And these states, they won't come suddenly. Instead, they will show some signs. If you are observing your primary object, there will be some signs in the primary object before this comes. If your attention is sharp, then you know, now it's about to happen. If your attention is not sharp, you will say, suddenly something happened. Right? That's our ignorance talking. But when you are attentive, then you realize there are some signs in the primary object, and with these signs only this unconsciousness or something happens. Right? So those signs you have to read. When you read those signs, you know now it's about to come. Right? That's how things happen. Nothing happens suddenly. Nothing happens without any cause. Things progress gradually. That's how it is. Now, there's this story. Someone got a heart attack. And he goes to the doctor and he says, "Doctor, I got a heart attack suddenly." Right? Then doctor asks him, "Did you get it suddenly? Did you get it without any notice?" That's not the case now. Maybe for decades, it's showing signs. Right? It'll give you some signs. It'll have some effect on your body. And gradually it progresses into a heart attack. Right? It won't happen suddenly. So if your attention is good, then you realize these signs. You observe these signs. And when you see these signs, you can take action. Right? In our life, nothing happens suddenly. It's our ignorance talking. If we are attentive enough, then we start to notice these signs. We are moving towards this direction. We are moving towards an illness in the body. We are moving towards a family problem. All those signs you are able to read. And when you read those signs, you are better prepared and you can take some action before it gets worse. Same goes for the meditation practice. These things, they don't appear suddenly. It won't come suddenly. It will show signs before, and you have to improve your attention, be sharp, and notice these signs earlier. And there was some second.
While walking meditation, my mind was seeing my skeleton, especially the hip and leg joint, with pain. That was the main distraction to foot sensation.
Yeah, seeing it is fine. Yeah, it appears, and it appears without your control, so that is fine. But don't try to encourage it. That's what we are saying. Whatever happens is fine. Don't try to do. Right? So that very idea is important. Things happen. Sometimes you feel these type of things in your body. That's fine. That's fine. But don't try to encourage it. Don't try to add more energy to that process. That's the very idea. So even last time we discussed about this. Whatever happens in meditation is fine. Right? You don't try to add on to it. Don't try to do many things. That's the wrong idea. Doing so many things is wrong. Now even during the walking session, early few hours, we could hear some sutra desana from a distance. Right? So those things, Girimananda Sutta, from the beginning to the end, lot of details about the meditation practice. But nobody knows how to approach it. They simply know how to put it into the loudspeaker and, making noises. But this is about a practice, how to develop it within you. It's not about only noise. Instead, you have to listen to this, you have to put it into practice. That very practice is rare to find. And we are lucky that we have encountered it. Most of the people, they are utterly lost because they don't know how to put this into action. They don't know how to practice. They simply recite things. They simply try to do puja and try to find some help from that. They pray. That's how they try to find help. All those things are valid. But they are just the beginning part, starting part. Right? If you know the deep practice, you know how to develop it within. You know how to gradually progress in this very practice. So we are lucky that we have encountered it. Nowadays we see most of the people, they are utterly lost. They have this urge. They want to practice, but they don't know how to do it. I found this boy maybe like few weeks ago. He was telling his experience at a different facility, and they don't have a way of practice. Instead, they do these mantras. They put the speakers, they play the mantras in the afternoon. So he was residential there for some time, and he feels like while listening to these mantras, some unknown language, weird kind of a feeling he gets, and this person is not healthy mentally. He says due to that stay, there was some impact and his mind was broken. So all those things are there because of the wrong practices, wrong methods. They are also lost. The teachers or the people who organize, they are also lost. They don't know what to do. They simply put some mantras. It sounds good. It sounds weird. So they think that's the practice. Some people, they recite something and that's their way of practice. Some people, they do a certain prayer. That's their way of practice. Some people, they do puja. That's their way of practice. All those things I am not refusing. They are valid. But that's the beginning part, initially only. How to develop your mind, how to train your mind. That's a whole new approach. And we have encountered this. It's like a rare gem that we have encountered. So this is our opportunity to develop. This is our opportunity to practice.
Report number 4. Dear Bhante, Theruvan Saranai, walking meditation. Kept the focus on sensation of the feet as a primary object. First few steps drag my mind into various thoughts, and after that focus on the feet sensation increases. Felt calmness. Heard Satipatthana Sutta from the nearby temple. Then I contemplate as this walking body consists of kunapa kotas 32. Sitting meditation. Did short metta bhavana. Later started anapanasati bhavana while focusing on breath as a primary object. First start counting to 10 breaths. After some time, after some breaths, my mind reminded me about the song which I heard in the morning. Then I thought I'll focus on breath and start focusing again. I felt happiness after some time while focusing on the breath. Day to day, while walking to Dhanashala, I felt roughness of the stones. When I am serving food, I felt hardness of spoons. So I thought this body also has hardness, patavi. When eating, this body consists of food, anatma swabhava. On and off, automatically my mind kept on saying suvapatveva while serving food, and to some yogis I met inside. Bhante, do we need to do vidarsana while doing anapanasati bhavana or fully focus on samatha samadhi? If yes, please explain how to do vidarsana.
Right. So, when we explain this practice, we are not saying it is fully concentration, samatha. And we are not saying it is fully vipassana. Right? Instead, it's a combination. Samatha vipassana bhavana. That's the better way to say it. Or otherwise, adhichitta bhavana. Right? So you approach with mindfulness. You do the walking comfortably. You try to keep your attention with the feet. You pay attention to your breathing and you try to keep your attention there. And naturally, these faculties will develop. Sometimes it is more aligned towards vipassana. Sometimes it is more aligned towards samatha. It depends. Today probably more of vipassana, but tomorrow it will be aligned towards samatha. So that's how naturally this practice will grow. Otherwise, if you try to only do samatha, or if you only try to do vipassana, that's not the case. That's not how it works. Instead, these faculties, they support each other. Right? You improve mindfulness, and as a result, the concentration comes. And when you have a higher concentration, naturally you can be mindful for a longer periods. Right? So these faculties, they are supporting each other. The problem is that people try to separate them. They try to keep the concentration aside and do pure vipassana. Or they try to keep the vipassana aside and do concentration only. And when you do that, it gets confused. It is not good for your practice. The very practice becomes an obstacle for you because you are trying to control it so much. Instead, approach with mindfulness and gradually see how the walking, sitting session progresses. Sometimes it progresses towards concentration. Sometimes it goes towards wisdom part. Right? So whatever comes, simply accept it. It's not fixed. It's these faculties, they are supporting each other. Right? So that's the very idea. And in commentary, there's this explanation about a cart that is pulled by two oxes. Right? They are pulling together. They are supporting each other. Right? Then the cart is better pulled by two oxes. One faculty is towards concentration, one faculty is towards wisdom. Those two faculties support each other and pull this cart through the path of progress or path of nibbana. That's the very idea. So don't try to do only samatha, don't try to do only vipassana. Instead, sit in meditation, try to keep your attention with the breath, and in a while you realize this goes towards concentration. Sometimes half. Initial part towards concentration, latter part towards Vipassana. You have to welcome it. That's the very idea. Don't try to fight it. Instead, simply sit, welcome today's practice. Whatever the practice is, that's the best practice you can do. Right? Like Winnie the Pooh says, he asked from his friend, what day is it? And the friend is saying, it's today. And Winnie is saying, my favorite day. Today. Right? So whatever comes in the moment, that's your best thing to do. That's the very best practice that you can do. Right? So sit in meditation, approach usually and see how it goes. Especially some people, when they work, they find that early in the morning, they can do a practice, a sitting session, and it is calm and comfortable, more aligned towards concentration. Later at night, when they do a sitting session, they are tired, their body is exhausted, all the thoughts from the day, they appear, and sometimes sleepiness, noises, right? Among all those things, it's like an utter struggle. So they try to say that morning session is good, evening session is bad. But that's not the case. Morning session might be aligned towards concentration, evening session might be aligned towards wisdom. So you can't say this is good, this is bad. Instead, sit in meditation, whatever comes, that's the best practice for today. That very idea is important, otherwise they try to do only concentration or do only Vipassana, and it becomes a whole new struggle. You don't have to struggle so much. Let the practice progress naturally. Let the practice develop naturally. And when you approach that way, it becomes much easier, it becomes much simpler. So that's the approach that you should have.
Report number 5. Dear Sir, how to stop addictions like watching funny videos on social media? Even though mind knows it's useless, but like the short happiness I gained.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Relevant question for these days. Now, social media, like it says, it's a feed, right? Yeah, they say that that's a feed, right? So you scroll through these short videos. And do you know how long our attention span when you browse these social media or when you browse your web? It says on average you only view 15 seconds. That is the average viewing time. So every 15 seconds you go to a new feed, new video, new page. That way you keep browsing. So in a way you are practicing a different type of meditation. What are you doing? You are getting distracted every 15 seconds. That's what you are practicing. Right? And the funny thing is that by watching a short video, it gives a certain kind of a boost, like a dope kind of a thing. Right? You get this little happiness, but you are not satisfied. Then you go to the next video, feed on that. Then you go to other video, feed on that. So that way, sometimes you start for like saying, I'll do this for 20 minutes, but you end up doing it for 2 hours. Right? So you have done a meditation for 2 hours, getting distracted. That's your meditation. Every day, let's say how many hours of screen time. You can see the weekly report. Those apps will suggest that you have spent this much time on the phone screen. Probably like 4-5 hours per day. So during all those hours, you are getting utterly distracted. In a way, it's a negative meditation. You are training your mind to get distracted. And later you come and say you can't pay attention to anything, you can't pay attention to work, you can't pay attention to your studies, you can't even pay attention to someone who is talking to you. What is the reason? Because you have trained your mind time after time towards this tendency. And they have a lot of research behind this. So many research go into these social media apps, right? There's this famous research about Pavlov's dogs. What they have done is they have this bell. They ring the bell and they feed the dogs. Today they do it. Again tomorrow they ring the bell, they feed the dogs. Day after tomorrow they ring the bell, they feed the dogs. Like this they train these dogs for a while. Pavlov, his research. And after training them for, let's say, a month or so, then you just ring the bell. You don't give them food, but still they will have the same reaction to the bell sound. Because they have trained themselves, they have assigned this bell sound with the food, with the reward. Right? So that type of research, they have gone into these social media. So the notification sounds, or the ringing sounds, right? Your brain is trained towards that notification sound. Whenever you hear it, it's like a dope, a short amount of happiness fed to you, right? And it is happening time after time. And once you have trained on this, let's say after few months, few years, when you hear the notification sound, you can't do anything else other than checking the phone. Right? Can't do. What can you do? So they say these smartphones have become so smart that they have outsmarted us. Right? The phones have become that smart. Right? So they have outsmarted us. So these things are real. These addictions are real. And I met this fellow, he was like 29 years old when I met him. And he said that he was diagnosed with some mental illness. And he didn't know what it was. But recently he got diagnosed and he was on medication. And I asked this guy, what was the reason? What was the reason that you see behind this mental illness? And he was saying he was addicted to a phone for 7 years. He has had no work, no studies. Starting from age 22 to 29, he was an addict to a phone. And he was at his home, the comfort of parents, he is getting fed. This fellow is spending all his time in a room watching all these videos and things like that. So he has spent 7 years like that. And after 7 years, he was broken. So he got like some kind of a crazy kind of a energy. And he was throwing things at home. He was dancing, singing, all those things. So they caught him and took him to a doctor. Right? So his idea is that watching these videos for 7 years, this addiction was the very reason that broke him. Then I asked him whether he has any family background of mental illness. And this fellow was saying that his sister also got at a certain age. Then one of his aunts also got such a disease. And you can see in their genes also this weakness is there. But the funny thing is that his brother is a chartered accountant. He is married, he is raising children, and he is fine. He is fine. So what has happened? You could have this weakness in your genes, but your lifestyle matters. The choices that you make, they matters. Right? It says nature versus nurture. Nature is more like karma. Nature is in your genes. Right? Those things are given. But nurture matters. Nurture, it's the choices that you make. Sometimes bodily choices, sometimes verbal choices, sometimes mental choices. Most of the time we are making mental choices. That's the importance of mindfulness. All the time we are making a choice. When we think a thought, that's a choice that we are making. You could either think negatively or positively. That's a choice that you are making. Right? So you can see that nurture part also matters. So when you read into a subject like epigenetics, they talk about this. Epi means above genetics. What is above genetics? It's a chemical flagging. Right? It depends. These genes are there, but whether they get activated or not, that's something different. Right? So you can have these weaknesses in your genes, but if you choose better, then they lay dormant. They don't get activated. So those chemical flagging won't change. They won't get activated. So those topics, it's interesting to see how these things can lead us towards betterment or towards an addiction or a mental disease. Right? So it's all about meditation. You can either move towards positive or you can either move towards negative. You can either develop a mental illness or you can either find peace within. The mind has the ability to change. Whether it's towards positive or negative, it's up to you. Right? So these addictions are there. Now you are talking about a progressed addiction. Now how to deal with it? It's not easy. It's not easy. You can't get rid of it overnight. That's not going to happen. Right? Instead, what you have to do is simply start with at least like 1 hour of meditation daily. That is important. Let's say 30 minutes of walking, 30 minutes of sitting. Every day you do at least like 1 hour of meditation. Then in your usual daily life, this addiction comes. That's fine. Give in to that addiction. Watch videos. While watching them, try to see what are the results of this addiction. Sometimes you end up getting a headache. Sometimes you are utterly distracted for many hours afterwards. Right? All those negative consequences you have to see. That very process, you have to progress through that very process. By progressing through that process only, one day this addiction will be weakened. So we say, watch the videos, that's fine, watch them mindfully. That's the very idea. Right? Spend many hours on your phone, that's fine, but spend mindfully. Notice what is happening. Right? In order for you to be mindful, it is important that you at least support your daily life with 1 hour of formal meditation. Right? That way, let's say you continue for few months, few years. When your mindfulness grows, when you see more and more negative consequences of this, gradually you realize that addiction has weakened. That's how you can approach this. Otherwise, we can simply say, don't do it. But you won't do it for few days. But again, the same problem appears. Right? This person, he was sober for 1 year. Right? No drinking alcohol. And after 1 year, you have to celebrate now the achievement. Right? So, by drinking only, you can celebrate. So, he has a big party celebrating his 1 year achievement, and all the drinks were there. Right? So that's how most people do. They make a determination that I'll stop. They stop for a while. As soon as some problem appears, they directly go back into the same addiction. Otherwise, they do a few months, then as a celebration, they go back to the addiction. That's how most of these things work. So you have to have the gradual approach. That is important. Gradually you have to deal with this. Gradually you have to see the negative influence by this practice. By this addiction. So that way only I think we can get rid of this. So don't try to avoid it. Simply whenever you feel like it, do. But notice what is happening. Do it mindfully. Notice the little dope that you get from every video. But it is not enough. You have to go to the next one. Again the next one. Next one. That way you are stuck. You are addicted. Right? So by seeing it mindfully, by noticing the negative consequences, you can weaken it. You can gradually overcome it. So try to go through this and you can share your experience once again.
That's all, Bhante. But since you mentioned about this sutta chanting, I just thought I'll share my experience during that walking meditation. I was doing walking meditation and I also heard the sutta chanting, and my walking meditation, like my concentration on the foot was stopped, and I also started chanting it within myself. And then I realized I'm getting a bit annoyed. I was just thinking, why are they using a microphone for this? They are disturbing all of us and all that. I realized that I'm getting annoyed. Then I just couldn't concentrate on walking, and then I realized I'm annoyed now. Because I'm getting annoyed, I can't concentrate. So realized that, walked again, kept my concentration on the feet, and I walked, no issue. And then the chanting has stopped. I have not noticed it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. The world is like that. So many noises. They try to sell the noises. That's how it is. Now even on Poya days, Nissarana, you can hear 3 speakers, three temples are there in the village, many kilometers away, but still you can hear it on Poya days. Right? So they try to make noises, and that very noise they try to sell. The bigger the noise, more attraction, they feel like it. Right? So one yogi, he was complaining, Bhante, I came to Nissarana for silence on a Poya day, traveling many kilometers, but still there is no silence in this forest. All these loudspeakers, they are coming and, bothering me. I am really irritated. I am really annoyed. That was his idea. Then I told him, we have paid for these loudspeakers. Why? Because in order to give you proper advice. Right? The noise is outside. We feel like the noise is coming and bothering us. But what is happening really? Is it the noise that comes and bothers us? Or is it us going after the noise? Right? It's our mind that's get irritated. We are not approving that behavior. We are not approving making noises. But you can't find a place without such disturbances. Right? If it is somebody today, tomorrow a fresh person will come and do the same stupid thing. Right? So that's how the world works. So the practice, it is more focused on changing yourself, changing inwards. The world could be a disturbing place, but you shouldn't get disturbed. That's the very idea. Right? Gradually you can develop that ability. Same as you mentioned, the noise is there, you get irritated, but you realize it and you let go. Then you realize the noise doesn't bother you that much. Right? So that very idea is important. That's why there's this popular quote from Rumi. He says, yesterday I was smart, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Right? So that's the very idea of the practice. Most people, they try to change the world. It's a never-ending game. It's not going to end. But if you change yourself, then you realize it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what other people do. You are calm and peaceful. Right? So that's the very idea, that's the very approach. That's why I think it's good to have this road by the meditation hall. Right? All those vehicles, they travel, they make noises. Sleepy people, they wake up. Right? Another benefit. And when you hear such noises, if your meditation is broken, it's your fault. It's your weakness. Right? All those thoughts come, memories and things like that. Especially when you start a retreat, you can feel that past few weeks, all the incidents, thoughts, they start rushing through. Right? So when those things come, if your meditation is disturbed, it's your weakness. It's your weakness. Right? Let them come. Let the thoughts come. Let the sounds appear. But you have to develop the ability not to get distracted. You have changed yourself. You are wise. You are changing yourself, not the outside world. That's how you can find peace. Otherwise, no matter where you travel, always there is something disturbing you. Right? I remember this young boy. I think he was USA, California. He was from California and he was in touch with us. For a few years he was in touch. And he was really interested in meditation. The reason being, he is a well-off person. He has a good job. All the things are given, but still he is not happy. That's his concern. He is saying, I am not happy. I want to find peace. So this fellow arranged 3 months retreat. 3 months retreat at Nissarana. Got approval and everything, booked tickets, came to Nissarana. Right? It was, I think, similar to this weather. These days, it's really hot, humid, right? Similar to this weather. And he came, he stayed for I think, probably couple of weeks. And he found so many faults with the environment. He was complaining, the weather, it's too hot and humid. I can't bear this heat. I can't do this, right? Then all the meditating yogis were making noises. These fellows are talking all the time. They are drinking tea. They are chit-chatting. I can't stay with these fellows. Another complaint. Then something about the leeches. Right? Leeches sucking blood. Then the mosquitoes biting. All those complaints he have found within 2 weeks. Then he got really angry, frustrated, and he left the place. Imagine all the arrangements, all the ticket booking, all the leaves that he has taken for 3 months. Wasted. Why? The very problem that he is experiencing in his own home country. No matter where he goes, he won't be peaceful. Why? It's a problem with the mind. It's a problem with the mind. He is either in California, he is frustrated. At Nissarana, he is frustrated. No matter where he goes, he'll be frustrated. So you have to solve that problem. Especially when you arrive for a long retreat, the very problem appears. Within 2 weeks, the fellow was fed up. Right? All the troubles from the surrounding, mosquitoes, heat, the yogis talking, everything was disturbing. He left. Right? So you can see it's your own problem, not the surrounding. We are not encouraging others to make noises. But it happens, no? It happens. And when it happens, if you are disturbed, if you are angry, then it's your problem. There's this very nice Achancha story. This person goes to a place and sit down. After a while, he feels this very bad smell. Right? And he says, these fellows are doing something wrong. This very weird smell is here, very bad smell is here. And he blames everyone and he goes to a new place. Right? Then he becomes comfortable. After a while, again the same type of smell appears. Right? He is looking everywhere, he is blaming everyone. Again goes to a fresh place. After a while, the same smell appears. right? Then he says, where is this smell coming from? Right? It's from his backpack only. There is shit in his backpack. That's what's smelling, right? It doesn't matter where he goes, smelling, right? The problem is within, not the outside. So it doesn't matter whether you are at a meditation center, whether you are at home. If you are disturbed, it's your weakness. If you are angry, if you are frustrated, if you are stressful, it's your weakness. So this very practice is to address that very weakness. Right? The surrounding could be noisy, but if you can be peaceful, that's the very idea. The other people can do certain things, but if you are disturbed by them, then it's your own weakness. So initially it's natural, but gradually when you develop your practice, you become wise according to Rumi. Today you are wise, so you are changing yourself. You know that it's a problem within. You try to correct that problem. You try to adjust that issue. That's the very idea. So that approach you have to take. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you go to work, you deal with other people. Whenever you feel friction, try to turn inwards and see why do you feel such friction. Why am I so stressed? Why am I so angry? Why do I feel this friction? You have to turn inwards. Usually we find fault with the other person. We say, this fellow is so irritating, that's why I am angry. They are doing these things, that's why I am angry. But the real reason is within. Right? So mindfulness, that will help you to investigate the real reason. The very idea is to turn your attention inwards. So that's it.
There is a verbal question.
Generally, I practice Anasapati, but this is the first time that I'm hearing that there's a Vipassana element behind it also. Could you explain that a bit?
Yeah, don't get confused with those words. Right? When you do Anapanasati, both the concentration as well as wisdom, those faculties develop. Right?
In what sense? Like in what sense does the wisdom faculty develop?
It's like, when you pay attention to the breathing, if you are able to stay with the breathing for a long period, then it's more like concentration part. Right? You become calm and comfortable. Then time to time your thoughts appear. Your family problems appear. Surrounding sounds appear. Right? So when they come, you get disturbed, you get distracted. Some people, they say they can't come to the breathing for few minutes even. Right? So when thoughts appear, that's more like the wisdom faculty working. So you have to develop that ability, and gradually you realize, although the thoughts come, you are not disturbed. Right? So both these faculties, they are developing when you do the very walking, sitting practice we talked about.
And do you gain comfort in your bodily sensations after doing Anasapati? Like I feel a lot of ease in my body. Does that occur, or is it?
It's a good sign. Take it as a positive sign. Usually the body becomes lighter. You feel ease and comfort in the body. So that comes as a result of the practice. Even the mind, the emotional baggage, it becomes lighter. And initially you feel like it is not permanent. You do a sitting practice, you feel comfortable, you go home, you are no longer comfortable, you go back to your usual way. But little by little, when you do it for a long period, you realize this becomes a permanent comfort that comes with many hours of practice. But initially, when you feel comfortable in your bodies, that we can take as a good sign that you are progressing.
Yeah, like in Anasapati, do you focus on the breath only, or do you focus on the void as well? Because
start with the breathing. The void you can't focus. That's a good way to end up with a headache. Right? Focus on the breathing, and gradually the breathing will lead you towards the void. It shouldn't be the other way around.
Right now I'm focusing on the void also.
Yeah. Start with the breathing. That's how we start. Gradually the breathing will lead you towards the void. Right? The breathing will become subtle. The in-breath and out-breath, the gap will increase, and naturally the void will appear. You can't chase after the void. It's not easy to chase. You get a headache, you feel irritated. You naturally find the void by paying attention to the breathing.
And the thoughts, if you can control the thoughts in one go, should you do that, or should you just let it?
What do you mean by controlling?
Like say initially if you feel that thoughts are coming, but these are thoughts that I can control, should you control them, or should you just...
What do you mean by controlling? Simply by letting them go and coming back to the breathing?
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can do, that's fine. But after a while you realize you can no longer control them. Yeah. We try to bring our attention to the breathing. So try to stay there. If you can come to the breathing, that's fine. But certain occasions you realize you can no longer control such thoughts. And when it is, you simply has to accept that. Right? In a way, in the beginning, we somewhat control the thoughts. We bring our attention to the breathing. We let go of the thoughts time after time. But when you progress in your practice, you have a different approach later. That's it. Okay, then we'll do couple more hours of meditation, and 4 p.m. is the talk for today.